December 15 is not just another date on the calendar. Something shifts on this day in a way that you don't immediately see, but you absolutely feel. Mars, the planet of action, desire, courage, and raw emotional drive, enters Capricorn, the sign of truth, responsibility, karmic clarity, and long-term destiny. When this happens, emotions stop floating and start crystallizing. What was confusing suddenly becomes clear. What was hidden can no longer stay buried. And in love especially, this creates a powerful emotional reset that many people were not prepared for. You may notice that since this energy begins to arrive, your tolerance for emotional games drops sharply. Conversations feel heavier, but also more honest. You no longer want vague promises or half-hearted connections. Mars in Capricorn does not entertain illusion. It demands structure, commitment, and real effort. That is why this transit activates what can only be described as a truth portal in love. Relationships that were built on fantasy start to crack. Connections rooted in authenticity suddenly grow stronger without effort. This is the moment when people begin to see clearly who is truly showing up for them and who has only been present when it was convenient. Mars here doesn't bring chaos. It brings discipline to the heart. It asks you to stop chasing emotionally unavailable situations and start choosing stability, respect, and mutual growth. Some will feel this as an emotional shockwave because it forces honesty where denial once lived. You might find yourself thinking differently about someone you've been emotionally attached to. Feelings that once felt intense may now feel heavy or draining. That's not loss. That's clarity. Mars in Capricorn recalibrates desire so that passion aligns with purpose. It removes the urge to fight for what doesn't fight for you back. And that can feel uncomfortable at first, especially if you've been emotionally invested for a long time. For others, this energy works in the opposite way. Someone who has been distant may suddenly step forward with seriousness and intention. Mars pushes action, and Capricorn pushes responsibility. Words turn into plans. Promises turn into effort. If someone truly values you, this is the moment they prove it. Not through dramatic gestures, but through consistency, presence, and commitment. Emotionally, this transit is grounding but intense. You may feel less reactive and more deliberate. Instead of emotional outbursts, there's emotional resolve. You stop asking why things aren't working and start asking what you are willing to accept moving forward. This is where the reset happens. Old emotional patterns dissolve because they no longer match your inner maturity. The truth portal opens because Mars activates suppressed feelings that were ignored for the sake of comfort. Capricorn energy does not allow avoidance. It brings emotional accountability. You may finally say what you've been holding back, or someone may finally say something you weren't expecting but needed to hear. These conversations can feel serious, even heavy, but they are deeply healing because they are real. This energy also brings karmic closure in love. Relationships that have run their course may naturally fade without drama. There is less emotional chaos and more quiet knowing. You realize you don't need to chase closure because clarity becomes its own closure. Mars in Capricorn gives strength to walk away without resentment and to stay without fear. If you are single, this transit resets what you are attracted to. Surface-level charm loses its appeal. You start noticing character, values, ambition, emotional maturity. Love becomes less about fantasy and more about building something solid. And that shift is powerful because it aligns your heart with your future, not your past. Emotionally, many people will feel calmer but more serious. This is not coldness. This is emotional sovereignty. You are no longer ruled by impulse but guided by inner authority. Mars gives you courage. Capricorn gives you wisdom. Together, they create emotional leadership in love. December 15th marks the beginning of a period where love is no longer about proving your worth. It's about choosing where your energy belongs. The emotional reset doesn't happen loudly. It happens quietly in the moment you stop explaining yourself, stop waiting, and start trusting your inner truth. Pay attention to what feels steady during this time. Pay attention to who respects your boundaries. Pay attention to how your emotions respond when someone is consistent versus when someone is unpredictable. Mars in Capricorn teaches that love should feel strong, not exhausting. This is a turning point. Not because something dramatic must happen, but because you finally see clearly enough to choose differently. And once that clarity arrives, there is no going back. If this message is reaching you now, it's not random. You are being prepared to step into a more grounded, empowered version of love. One where truth is not feared, emotions are respected, and connections are built to last. Mars has entered Capricorn, and the truth portal is open. What you do with this clarity will shape your emotional path for months to come. And as this energy continues to unfold, you may begin to notice something else happening beneath the surface. There is a quiet strength returning to you, not the loud kind that demands attention, but the steady kind that no longer needs validation. Mars in Capricorn rebuilds emotional confidence from the inside out. You start trusting your instincts again, especially in love. You stop second-guessing what your heart already knows. During this phase, many people experience sudden emotional realizations, often in moments of silence. It might happen late at night or during an ordinary conversation, or while thinking about someone you once believed you couldn't let go of. The emotional fog lifts. You see patterns clearly. You recognize where you compromised too much, where you stayed silent to keep peace, where you accepted less because you were afraid of losing more. This awareness is not meant to hurt you, it is meant to free you. Mars gives you the courage to face these truths, while Capricorn gives you the discipline to act on them. That's why this period is so transformative. It's not about dramatic endings or sudden beginnings. It's about emotional alignment. You stop chasing intensity and start choosing stability. You stop confusing attachment with love. And in doing so, you make space for something far more fulfilling. For couples, this transit can bring serious conversations that have been postponed for too long. Topics like commitment, future plans, emotional responsibilities, and mutual effort come to the surface. Some relationships grow stronger because both people are finally willing to meet each other with honesty and maturity. Others may realize that they are no longer walking in the same direction. And while that realization can be painful, it is also deeply respectful to both souls involved. If you feel emotional distance from someone during this time, don't panic. Mars in Capricorn doesn't create emotional coldness. It removes emotional confusion. You may simply be seeing the relationship as it truly is, without projection or hope filling in the gaps. This clarity allows you to decide from a place of strength rather than fear. There is also a powerful self-love activation happening now. You begin to respect your own time, your emotional energy, and your boundaries. You realize that love should not require constant sacrifice of your peace. Mars in Capricorn reminds you that your emotional well-being is a responsibility, not an afterthought. When you honor yourself, others either rise to meet you or fall away naturally. This is also a karmic period. Past connections may resurface, not necessarily to restart, but to be understood correctly. You may see why someone entered your life, what they taught you, and why it had to end the way it did. Closure comes not from answers, but from understanding. And understanding brings peace. Emotionally, this is a time to slow down and be intentional. React less. Observe more. Let actions speak louder than words. Mars in Capricorn rewards patience and consistency. If someone is meant to walk with you, they will show it through steady effort, not emotional promises. As the days move forward, you may feel a growing sense of emotional authority. You no longer feel the need to convince anyone of your worth. You know it, and that knowing changes everything. It changes how you love, how you communicate, and how you allow others to treat you. This emotional reset is not temporary. It sets a new standard. A standard where love feels grounded, honest, and empowering. A standard where you no longer abandon yourself to keep someone else comfortable. So if things feel quieter right now, trust that silence. If emotions feel heavier, trust that weight. It is the weight of truth settling in. And truth, once accepted, becomes the foundation of a much stronger, more aligned love story. This is the gift of Mars entering Capricorn. Not chaos, but clarity. Not loss, but alignment. And once you step into this energy, you don't just experience love differently. You become someone who is no longer afraid to choose it wisely. And as this truth continues to reveal itself, you may notice that your emotional reactions begin to change in subtle but powerful ways. Situations that once triggered anxiety or insecurity no longer have the same grip on you. You respond instead of react. You pause instead of chase. This is Mars in Capricorn teaching emotional mastery. You are no longer pulled by impulse. You are guided by inner authority. There is a deep recalibration happening in the heart now. You start understanding that love is not meant to feel unstable or confusing. If something constantly keeps you guessing, draining, or overthinking, this energy gently but firmly shows you that it is out of alignment. Not every connection is meant to last forever, but every connection is meant to teach you something. Mars in Capricorn helps you extract the lesson without carrying the emotional weight longer than necessary. You may also feel a strong urge to set boundaries where you once stayed silent. This isn't about building walls. It's about building self-respect. You realize that saying no is not rejection, it is protection. And in love, protection of your emotional energy is sacred. This shift alone can transform how others interact with you. When you take yourself seriously, the universe does too. This period also highlights the difference between effort and intention. Someone may say all the right things, but Mars in Capricorn watches what they do. Consistency becomes more attractive than passion. Reliability feels more romantic than intensity. You begin to crave emotional safety, not emotional roller coasters. And that desire is not settling, it is evolving. For some, this energy brings a moment of truth where a decision can no longer be postponed. Stay or go. Commit or release. Speak or remain silent. Mars pushes action, and Capricorn pushes responsibility. Avoiding the decision only creates inner tension. But once you choose, there is immediate emotional relief, even if the choice is difficult. You might also notice a shift in how you view the future. Love is no longer something you hope will work out someday. It becomes something you consciously build. You think long-term. You consider compatibility, shared values, emotional maturity. This grounded perspective protects you from repeating old patterns. Emotionally, there may be moments of loneliness during this transition. That doesn't mean you are alone. It means you are shedding attachments that no longer resonate with who you are becoming. Mars in Capricorn often creates space before something solid enters. Trust that the emptiness is intentional. It is making room for alignment. This is also a powerful time to reflect on your own emotional habits. Where do you avoid vulnerability? Where do you overgive? Where do you hold back your truth to keep peace? These insights are not here to judge you. They are here to help you grow. Awareness is the first step toward change. As this energy settles in, you may feel more emotionally grounded than you have in a long time. Less dramatic highs and lows, more steady confidence, more trust in your decisions. This is emotional adulthood, and it is deeply attractive, both to healthy partners and to the life you are calling in. Remember, this is not about becoming cold or guarded. It is about becoming clear. Clear about what you deserve. Clear about what you are willing to invest in. Clear about what love should feel like in your body, not just in your imagination. Mars in Capricorn doesn't rush love. It builds it. And whatever is built now has the potential to last because it is rooted in truth, effort, and mutual respect. And as you return to yourself, something deeply empowering happens. You stop looking outside for permission to feel secure. You realize that emotional stability begins within you. Mars in Capricorn strengthens your inner foundation so that love is no longer something you cling to, but something you share from a place of wholeness. This is where real transformation occurs. During this phase, you may notice that your standards quietly rise, not out of ego, but out of self-awareness. You are no longer impressed by surface-level charm or temporary attention. You are drawn to emotional integrity, consistency, and depth. You begin to understand that real love is not proven in moments of excitement, but in moments of responsibility. Who stays? Who shows up? Who chooses you when it's not convenient? This energy can feel intense because it strips away emotional illusions. You may look back at past choices and suddenly understand why certain relationships never stabilized, no matter how much effort you gave. Mars in Capricorn shows you that love alone is not enough. There must also be alignment, maturity, and shared commitment. This realization can feel sobering, but it is also incredibly freeing. You may feel a strong desire to simplify your emotional world. Fewer distractions, fewer mixed signals, Fewer people who take more than they give. This is not withdrawal, this is refinement. Mars in Capricorn teaches you to invest your emotional energy wisely, just like you would invest your time or resources. What you nurture now grows stronger. If you are in a relationship that is built on trust and mutual effort, this transit can deepen your bond. You may feel more secure, more grounded, more focused on building something meaningful together. Conversations become more practical, but also more sincere. You talk about the future not as a dream, but as a plan. If you are in a situation that lacks clarity, this energy will not allow it to remain undefined. Either the connection matures or it naturally dissolves. And while endings can be painful, Mars in Capricorn ensures they are clean, respectful, and purposeful. No unnecessary drama, no emotional confusion lingering in the background. You may also notice changes in how you express love. You become more direct, more honest, more intentional. You stop hinting and start communicating clearly. You understand that clarity is kindness, and by expressing your needs openly, you give others the chance to meet you where you are. This is also a powerful time to heal old emotional wounds related to rejection, abandonment, or unreciprocated love. Mars gives you strength, Capricorn gives you wisdom. Together, they help you release the belief that you must struggle to be loved. Love that is meant for you will not require you to shrink or suffer. As the days progress, trust the calm you feel. Trust the grounded energy. Even if nothing dramatic seems to be happening on the outside, profound shifts are taking place within. You are recalibrating your emotional compass. And once that compass is aligned, it naturally leads you toward healthier, more fulfilling connections. This period marks a turning point where you stop romanticizing potential and start honoring reality, where you stop waiting for someone to change and start choosing what already meets you with respect and care. Mars in Capricorn is not about closing your heart. It is about strengthening it, so that when love arrives, it doesn't destabilize you, it complements you. Stay present with this energy. Let it guide your decisions gently but firmly. The truth portal remains open, and every honest choice you make now builds a future rooted in emotional security and real love.